Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're tackling a topic that I think is pretty universally relevant, parenting.
Hmm.
We're going to be looking at some guidance from the Bible on raising kids. I know that might sound a little unexpected to some folks,
Right.
but maybe you're joining us today because you are at a crossroads with your own kids and you're just looking for some of that time-tested wisdom.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're just curious, you've heard about this ancient text.
Mhm.
What's it got to offer to modern families? So whatever brought you here today, we're going to be unearthing some thought-provoking insights. I think I can guarantee that.
I agree. It's always amazing to me how relevant these verses are,
Yeah.
even though they were written so long ago.
Thousands of years ago.
They really do speak to the core joys and also the struggles
Yeah.
of parenting today.
Exactly. It's like we're tapping into this shared well of experience.
Yeah.
And one of the first things that struck me and maybe even raised an eyebrow or two was how much the Bible talks about discipline. I mean,
Mhm.
for instance, Ephesians 6.4, it talks about raising children in the discipline and instruction of the Lord.
Wow.
And then there's Proverbs 13.24, which mentions the rod.
Mhm.
And I know, I can already hear some of our listeners being like,
Yeah.
whoa, hold on, that
Yeah.
seems a little harsh for
It's
today's world.
Yeah, it's definitely a verse that needs some unpacking,
Yeah.
especially for our modern context.
Hmm.
Back then, the rod wasn't necessarily about physical punishment.
Okay.
It was more a symbol of authority and guidance.
Hmm.
You can think of a shepherd's staff.
Okay.
They use that to guide the flock,
Right.
not to harm them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more about guiding kids toward what's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This idea of guiding, not controlling,
Mm.
I think is echoed throughout the Bible.
Okay.
Proverbs 22.6, really captures this beautifully. It says, train up a child in the way they should go. Even when they are old, they will not depart from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about instilling those values early on, setting
Yeah.
them on a path
Okay.
towards becoming good people.
So I see what you mean. It's not about dictating their every move or anything.
Right.
It's more about equipping them
Yes,
with a moral compass so they can navigate the choices.
exactly.
And I think this connects with Colossians 3.21.
Right.
It cautions against provoking children to anger.
Yes.
If we're constantly berating them or using harsh punishments,
Right.
it seems like we'd just be breeding resentment,
Yeah.
not character.
Exactly. We end up creating this vicious cycle
Yeah.
where they become rebellious because they feel misunderstood.
Yeah. It makes you think about those teenagers who, act out.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible they're just, craving connection and understanding?
That's definitely a possibility
Mm-hmm.
that we should consider. And that's where I think the loving guidance comes in. We need to create that environment where children feel safe to express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They need to know that discipline is coming from a place of love, not anger.
So finding that balance between firmness and understanding,
Exactly.
setting boundaries, but also keeping those lines of communication open.
Absolutely. And this brings us to another crucial aspect, I think.
Okay.
Passing on a legacy
Yeah.
that goes beyond just faith.
Oh, okay.
So Deuteronomy 6:6-7 talks about these teachings being, on your heart,
Okay.
discussed at home,
Yeah.
woven into the everyday moments.
Mm-hmm.
It's about making faith a lived experience,
Yeah.
not just a Sunday ritual.
I love that. You're integrating faith into, just the fabric of family life.
Yes.
Speaking of beautiful imagery, Proverbs 1.8-9 describes a parent's teachings as a garland to grace your head and a chain to adorn your neck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's so poetic. It's like saying that these teachings are valuable, they're to be treasured.
Yes.
But is this just about religious teachings, or is there something broader here?
I think Deuteronomy 4.9 gives us some insight into that.
Okay.
It explicitly states that parents are responsible for passing down not just faith,
Okay.
but also history and values.
Huh.
So we're shaping a whole worldview,
Wow.
teaching kids how to think critically, how to engage with the world around them.
That really broadens the scope, doesn't it? It's not just about rules, but you're giving them this framework
Yes.
for understanding the world.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, equipping them to build their own houses of wisdom or something.
I like that. I like that analogy.
Hmm.
We provide the foundation, the building blocks,
Okay.
but then it's up to them to construct their own understanding.
And that kind of brings us to another critical aspect,
Mm-hmm.
shaping character.
Yes.
I think it's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day, the homework, the
Yeah.
chores, the extracurriculars.
all that.
But are we forgetting to, develop those inner qualities that really make a person who they are?
That's so important because in the grand scheme of things, isn't it more important to raise kind, compassionate, resilient
Mhm.
human beings?
Yes.
I mean, more so than kids who just excel academically or athletically.
Absolutely. And the Bible actually offers some concrete guidance on this.
Mm-hmm.
Galatians 5:22-23 talks about the fruit of the Spirit:
Yeah.
love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control.
Yeah. It's quite a list.
Yeah, these are all qualities I think, we all aspire to.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we actually cultivate these in our kids?
Well, first we have to understand that these aren't just abstract concepts.
Boy.
These are virtues that need to be nurtured and practiced.
Yeah.
It's like uh, learning an instrument.
Right.
It takes time, dedication, consistent effort.
Right.
And the most effective way to teach these virtues is by embodying them ourselves.
So it's about walking the walk,
Exactly.
not just talking the talk.
Exactly. Ephesians 4:32 says it perfectly.
Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as God in Christ forgave you.
Right. So it's about creating a home environment where those qualities are lived out daily,
Yes,
not just like preached about.
exactly. Children are incredibly perceptive. They're like little sponges absorbing everything.
Yeah.
If they see us consistently demonstrating these qualities,
Okay.
kindness, patience, forgiveness,
Mm.
they're more likely to internalize them.
And emulate them.
Right. It's like that saying, actions speak louder than words.
Right. Right. And, it's a good reminder for us as adults, too, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
We can't expect our kids to be patient and understanding if we're always snapping at them or holding grudges.
Yeah. It's about modeling the behavior we want to see.
Absolutely. It's a lifelong journey for all of us.
Yes.
And our kids are our companions on that path.
Yes.
Speaking of journeys, there's this verse in Isaiah that kind of reminds me of the,
Long and winding road of parenting. Isaiah 28:9-10, primarily about God's teaching, uses this beautiful imagery of precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little.
Right.
It's like teaching a child to walk.
Hmm.
It takes, so many small steps, repetition, and a whole lot of patience.
It's a powerful metaphor.
Yeah.
It reminds us that character development isn't about instant results.
Okay.
It's about steady, consistent guidance.
Right.
It's about celebrating those small victories.
Yeah.
The incremental steps towards growth.
Mm-hmm.
They eventually lead to a more profound transformation.
It's like planting a seed, right? You
Right.
nurture it, give it sunlight and water.
Yes.
You got to be patient, waiting for it to sprout and blossom.
Exactly.
And even then, it needs that ongoing care and attention
Right.
to really flourish.
And that's a perfect segue, I think,
Okay.
into the next aspect we want to explore.
Okay.
The long game of parenting. Because, let's be honest, sometimes it's easy to get bogged down in the daily
Yeah.
grind, right?
Yeah.
The chores, the homework, the extracurriculars.
Mm.
But we need to remember that we're playing a much larger role here.
We are. And that's something we'll delve into more after a short break. Stay with us.
Welcome back, and let's keep going with this idea of, like, the long game of parenting.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to forget about that
Right.
when you're in the middle of, all the craziness.
Yeah, the daily whirlwind. It's true. It is so easy to get caught up in the demands of the moment,
Yeah,
the spilled milk,
right.
the homework battles,
Mhm.
all those social dramas
Yeah.
that we kind of forget to look at the bigger picture.
Yeah. We were talking about Proverbs before the break,
Yes.
how it, compares a parent's teachings to these beautiful adornments.
Right.
It got me thinking about, when we pass down heirloom pieces through generations,
Mm-hmm.
those things are just full of meaning and history,
Yeah. Yes.
Is that what we're doing with our kids?
I think so. Passing down a legacy.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
I think it really captures the essence of what we're trying to do as parents.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just raising children, we're shaping future generations.
Yeah.
Our influence ripples outward,
Right.
impacting their families, their communities,
Yeah.
the world around them.
Yeah. It's pretty incredible when you think about it like that.
Yes.
Like those little pebbles we toss into a pond,
Mhm.
creating these like ever expanding circles. But sometimes it feels more like, oh,
Yeah.
like you're throwing boulders and they're weighing you down.
It can.
When you're exhausted and frustrated, overwhelmed,
Noted.
how do these verses, these old verses, how do they speak to those moments?
Yeah, parenting's got all those highs and lows.
Yeah.
And in those challenging moments, I think we really do need to lean into the support,
Okay.
the wisdom that these verses offer. One that always brings me comfort is Psalm 127.3-5. It describes children as a heritage from the Lord, a reward,
Yeah.
arrows in the hands of a warrior.
Oh, wow.
So it's a powerful reminder that our children are a gift, not a burden,
Okay.
and that their potential is vast, limitless, really.
It's reassuring. I remember when my kids were little, I just felt so overwhelmed.
Yes.
Just like drowning in diapers,
Yeah.
sleepless nights, all of that.
Yes.
But that image of children as arrows, ready to be like launched into the world,
Yes.
it does kind of shift your perspective.
Right. We're not just trying to survive each day.
Yeah,
We're preparing them for a life of meaning and purpose.
exactly. And that's where, I don't know, faith comes in, I guess. It's like trusting in a higher power to guide you through those rough times.
Yes. And Philippians 4.67 encourages us.
Okay.
It says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything, through prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving.
Okay.
Let your requests be made known to God.
So it's like a reminder that we don't have to do it all alone.
Right. There's a source of strength and comfort available to us.
Okay.
And it's there, you know. It's as close as a heartfelt prayer.
Yeah, it's like you have this, I don't know, invisible safety net, you know? Even if you falter or stumble, you're not alone.
Right. But prayer isn't just about asking for help, is it?
Right.
It's also about cultivating gratitude,
Yeah.
recognizing the blessings in the chaos.
Okay. Thinking about blessings, I thought about Proverbs 17.6.
Yes.
It says, grandchildren are the crown of the aged, and the glory of children is their fathers. That's a good reminder to, you know, cherish those moments, even the messy ones.
Yeah.
Because they're fleeting, right? They're gifts, not burdens.
Exactly.
Sometimes you need that reminder just to pause and see your kids, appreciate their, you know, quirks and their laughter, all those little things that make them who they are.
Yeah. And it brings us back to that idea of legacy, doesn't it?
Right.
We're not just shaping their childhoods, but influencing generations to come.
You know, as we've been diving into these verses, I've been struck by, like, how much they talk about modeling love.
Yes.
Like, Titus 2.4. I know it's directed at women, but it encourages them to love their husbands and children.
Right.
Like, it's saying that love is the foundation, the bedrock of a good family.
Exactly.
And it's that love that sustains us, isn't it? I mean, through all the challenges,
Exactly.
the sleepless nights, the, you know, teenage angst, all the conflicts that come up.
All of it. I think 1 Thessalonians 2.11 really illustrates this well.
Okay.
You know, Paul writes about how he and his companions, they exhorted and encouraged and charged the Thessalonian Christians, as the father does his own children.
Yeah.
So it's a reminder that even in discipline, even in correction, love should be the guiding force.
Yeah, it's a balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Holding them accountable, but also letting them know they're loved no matter what.
Exactly. It's about creating a safe harbor for them.
Yeah.
Where they can always return, knowing they're accepted, cherished for who they are. And that's where I think these biblical teachings can be so helpful.
Yeah.
They remind us that our role isn't just to control our kids or mold them into some specific image, but to guide them towards their potential.
Okay.
To help them become the unique individuals they were meant to be.
Yeah, like nurturing their spirits, empowering them to, you know, find their own paths.
Exactly.
But let's be real, it's not always easy, is it?
No, not at all.
There are times when we doubt ourselves. We question if we're doing it right.
It happens to everyone.
We feel lost.
Yes.
Do these verses have anything to say about that?
They do, and I think that's something we should definitely explore further.
Welcome back to our deep dive. I'm feeling much more, I don't know, prepared to tackle this parenting journey.
It's amazing how, you know, these ancient texts can give us this kind of timeless wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's reassuring in a way, right? Like all these challenges and joys, it's like we're not the first ones to go through this.
No, not at all. We're all in this together.
Yeah. Before the break, we were talking about those moments where, you know, we doubt ourselves as parents.
Yes.
What do these verses have to say to, you know, people who are struggling, who feel like they're, you know, barely keeping afloat?
It's in those moments where I think we really need to lean into the support that's offered in these verses,
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah 40.11 speaks directly to that.
Okay.
It says, he tends his flock like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs in his arms and carries them close to his heart. He gently leads those that have young.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful image of God's compassionate care. It's reminding us that we're not alone.
Yeah.
We have a shepherd who guides us, comforts us, and carries us when we need it.
It's like having that, I don't know, invisible hand reaching down, giving you strength when you're at your, you know, weakest moment.
Exactly.
It reminds me of when my kids were little and I just felt like, oh my gosh, am I messing this up?
Yeah.
And then you see, you know, their little faces, their smiles, and it's
Yes.
this wave of love, you know?
Exactly. It's that love, that deep connection that gets us through.
Yeah.
I think Hebrews 12.11 really says it well.
Okay.
It says, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it.
Mm-hmm.
So even in those moments where we have to set boundaries, even when we discipline, it's an act of love.
Right. And it's like, I don't know, it's like pruning a plant, right?
Yes.
You have to cut away the dead branches to let the new stuff grow.
Right.
But how do we balance that with, you know, the idea of positive reinforcement today? Like building self-esteem.
Yeah. I don't think they're incompatible at all. Actually, I think they work really well together.
Okay.
Positive reinforcement, building self-esteem, those are essential. They build that, foundation of love and security.
Yeah.
But discipline, when it's done with love and understanding, provides that structure and guidance.
Okay.
Kids need both.
Yeah. So it's about like finding that balance, right?
Exactly. Grace and accountability.
Yeah.
Nurturing their spirits, but also shaping their character.
So it's about understanding that discipline isn't punishment, but it's
Right.
guidance, right?
Yes.
It's helping them learn.
Yes.
Yes.
It's helping them develop the skills they need to really deal with life.
Yeah.
And it's remembering that we're not striving for perfection here.
Yeah.
Not in ourselves.
Right.
And not in our kids.
Right.
We're all on this journey. We're all growing. We're all going to make mistakes.
Right.
What matters is that we make an environment where those mistakes are seen as an opportunity to learn, where kids feel safe to, mess up and then try again.
Right. And knowing they're loved no matter what.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny, as we've been going through this,
Yeah.
I've been thinking about how much these verses emphasize seeking wisdom from, sources beyond ourselves.
Yes. Proverbs 3.5-6 tells us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight.
It's like we don't have to have all the answers ourselves,
Right.
We can lean on a higher power, on our faith.
Yes.
And the wisdom of others, have done this before.
Exactly. Parenting doesn't happen in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
We need our communities, other parents, mentors,
Yeah.
It's like we're all holding pieces of this big puzzle.
Mm.
And when we come together, we can create something beautiful for our kids.
Yeah.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I just want to encourage our listeners to maybe go back and look at those verses that really spoke to you. Write down some of those key takeaways.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe talk about them with your partner, a friend, a spiritual advisor.
Yeah.
Let's keep this conversation going.
Absolutely.
Let these words inspire you as you navigate raising the next generation.
What a great point to end on. I know I'll be taking all this with me.
Mm-hmm.
And to everyone listening, whether you're leaning on faith or you're just, I don't know, searching for some wisdom from the past, the main thing is to approach parenting with love and intention.
Yes.
Be open to learning and growing right alongside your kids.
Yeah. And never underestimate the power of connection
Yeah.
with your kids, with your community,
Mm-hmm.
and with that source of strength inside you.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Yes.